Today we're gonna be making some emotional guitar samples, and as usual before we even start, I'm just gonna show you a couple of chord progressions and kind of explain what makes up this emotional sound. Now usually for these type of samples you would use something like a 1-3-6-7 chord progression, 1-3-6, or any variation of that. The most important movement of these chords is going from 1 to 3 and from 3 to 6 or 7, because this third chord is major in the minor scale, and that's kind of what gives it the sound, this emotional sound. So pretty much here we have the 1, and then we move to the 3. So you can hear this tension, that's created from going 1 to 3 is kind of what gives it this emotional feeling. And when you have the 3 and you go to a 7, again you can hear, like, even if it's a 6. So and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna cook up with this chord progression. I'm gonna flip it a little bit, and yeah, let's just get into the video. Alright, some gems now. What I've done here is I made sure when I'm figuring out the top line, just creating it. Of course I'm freestyling and I'm using my ears, but one thing I make sure at all times, if you want to have a catchy melody, you gotta have an A and a B section, or a call and response, a question and an answer. Like this is how it starts. This is the question, and this is the answer. So this guarantees that the melody is gonna be, catchy. It's something that you can whistle, you can hum, it gets in your head easy. Also, another thing that we have here is, as I said in my previous video, you gotta watch for the pockets. You kind of have to have a feel for it. I can definitely tell that we have a pocket here and here and here and here. So maybe we can squeeze in a little accent, a little phrase, a slide, anything, like just to fill it out. So yeah, as you can see, just a little accent thing with the guitar. If I'm being honest, I think this whoop will benefit from, just adding some bass and some vocals and just letting it do its thing. We gotta account for drums, we gotta account for vocals being put on it eventually. Don't overcomplicate your stuff. Now that I've added a bass, one thing I wanna, say about basses is basses actually really make a difference based off of, what type of whoop you're making. So if I'm making something with, which is in this case an emotional guitar melody, usually the best basses are something that's like a sub bass, something that's long and doesn't have much of a transient. So something like this. you know, something like this. That woo bass. Here I have a couple of basses saved, which I use all the time. Also, I have my go-to presets in Omnisphere, Analog Lab. Sometimes I would just use this. Depends on what type of sound I want. Okay, so now we gotta add the vocal, as we said. Arrangement tip, always put a hi-hat every 2 bars, so you know, that way when you send the sample to someone, they can see where the stems start, because as you can see, you know, here sometimes the stem doesn't exactly start from the first bar, so it's way easier for people to work with your samples. Alright, final sample, let's hear it, and then I'm just gonna send it to my guy. He's gonna do drums, and you're gonna hear that in a bit.